Hello and welcome to Moscato Tea. This is the show for all things beauty, business, and community with your host Inez and Chiquita. Keeping it raw, real, and unfiltered.
Welcome.
Hey there, lady. How's it going?
It's going amazing. We got a lot going on this year.
Girl, doesn't it always? It seems like it just keeps going and going and going.
This is going to be a fun episode today. I'm very excited.
I'm sure you are.
Because I didn't want to do it.
Of course. So I volunteer myself, right?
Yes.
Taking one for the team, right?
Yes. Going to do it. We're very excited for this. We have a very special guest once again. I call her dating guru, even though she doesn't call herself that. But we have Miss Damona Hoffman here.
Hey,
welcome
Damona.
once again.
Yay.
Woo! And today we are basically going to be setting Inez up a profile. Or we're going to find out the steps of doing a profile.
As I roll my eyes, okay?
Yes, she doesn't want to do it, but hey, somebody has to do it. Sacrifice.
I'm going to get you too.
I love it. Thank you. Just sip that tea. A twofer.
Yeah, I'm going to pour you some more Moscato, and then we're going to just do this.
Listen,
That's how it always starts.
I'm not feeling well right now.
With a little drink.
I know, with a little something or
and
another.
phone. That's all you need.
We're going to see. I'm already on a couple things, but you were saying earlier today and stuff how you just online dating, you're not really into it. So
yeah. So here's the deal. So as we approached and decided we wanted to talk about dating and online dating, and we've had talked to girlfriends. Most of all my girlfriends have online dated. I have not. People, pretty much everybody, I have clients, everybody's like, well, why haven't you set up a profile? Why haven't you done it? You really don't date. Not that I don't date. I'm just, going through a lot of transition. So I don't think it was a very good time to date. I was just, business wise, there was a lot going on. So it wasn't a good deal. So even then, even beforehand, to still go online dating, I'm pretty hesitant of it. Maybe it's due to the fact that, I don't know, for me, is one of those things like you meet somebody, you just have that connection, regardless of what it is. You might look at, oh, okay. I just think it's kind of like you're looking at somebody's picture and just kind of like judging them on a picture or whatever they're saying. But I guess in a way, it's still kind of the same way if they were in person because you're going to ask those questions anyways.
You're both asking and answering the questions. I think you're good. You're good. Yeah. I'll just stop out. No, it's true though. Like that's exactly what I was going to say. Like people, it's always been based on initial physical appearance. It's just now it's on a phone as opposed to at a bar.
Are there any, if you can say this, are there any sites that you recommend more than others?
It's a good question. I get asked it a lot. I don't recommend any particular sites over others. Although Black People Meet is my partner on Dates and Mates.
Get it.
I believe that finding the right site is as personal as finding the right match. So you have to really consider what your strategy is, what you're comfortable with, how much time you have, what your ultimate must-haves are,
right.
And that will guide you towards the right site. I think it's a good idea to be on 2, sometimes even 3 sites or apps at the same time, because that, like, if you think about it, that's like being in 2 places at once. You're doubling your chances of making a match, but you don't want to be on so many where it's overwhelming, because sometimes people will tell me like, oh yeah, I'm on Bumble, I'm on Tinder, I'm on Coffee Meets Bagel, I'm on Match, and then I'm like, well, how many dates have you gone on? Well, none. I get so many messages, I'm just overwhelmed. I don't do anything. I never look at it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then what's the point of that?
So, okay, so me here, trying to figure this out. So I don't know about this. Like, I'm being open just because I think it's good for us and, good for me to get out of my comfort zone. Cause I'll tell you already, I know myself pretty well, and I know how I am. And I know these things, and change. I'm pretty decent with change. I can adapt very well. But this is a whole nother where I'm going. This is a whole nother area of dating that I've never done. Like I said, I'll meet somebody, we'll connect, we'll date, we'll do whatever. It's just one of those kinds of things. But lately, even going through that way, it hasn't been the most successful. I just keep finding that I'm still attracting the same type of guy. So I'm like, when we decided to try this, I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll be the guinea pig and see what comes out of this. Because I'm just trying to see if it's just me and the type of men that I'm attracting, or is it just the type or the environment that I'm in, or, just a little bit. So maybe online dating will give me that opportunity to kind of like weed out. Because when you go out, like I've noticed, regardless, it does not matter where I go or what it is. I always seem to attract the same type of guy. So even though I don't think I'm projecting that, that's what I get.
What type of guy?
Girl, that guy that's not into relationship or in a relationship or married or, and that's not my game. That's not me. I'm not into married men. I'm not, if you're in a relationship, stick with your girl, or always want to have me as a side chick. But I don't find that out usually until after the fact. I was like, are you serious? So why didn't you tell me this at the beginning? Well, because they knew at the beginning I would probably say no, but they kind of do like that bait and switch. You're in it, you're whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like, you find things, you're like, wait a minute, 2 and 2 are not equaling 4, and you're like, wait a minute,
what's happening right now?
What's happening? And then all of a sudden it's a whole, well, I was saying I'm not into, but what is this all about? So I find that regardless, I do get a lot of married men hitting on me too. I'm like, yo, I don't date married men. I don't understand what this aspect of it. So just trying to figure out. So I'm saying, well, maybe with online dating, I can kind of weed out that kind of situation, or I don't know. I've been
You can weed out a lot. The key is paying attention to the signs, because a lot of times we ignore them. But the other thing I love about online dating, and I'm going to separate dating sites from dating apps for a minute, because I think the functionality is very different.
Okay.
And the pools are very different. When you pay for a site that has different fields of search criteria and is about more than just the picture, I find in general, most of the people there are a little bit more relationship focused, or at least motivated to date. Like, there's a lot of people that are on dating apps that are just swiping for fun. And even the language on Tinder when they first came out, want to keep playing. They've changed it since then. But, you just the swiping, you get a little hit of adrenaline. And some people are addicted to that and have no intention of meeting. But I've said for over 10 years, I've said you're doing the choosing. Even when you're in a bar or at the store and a guy comes up and talks to you, you're still doing the choosing, because you're like opening up to him to talk to you, right? So it's like little signals that he's looking for, like, oh, okay, she's open. So I don't know.
I was like,
maybe
oh,
you're just very open.
I know. Maybe I'm just way too open.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
You're a little bit too open there.
Yeah, and which I don't think I am. Like, honestly, a lot of my girlfriends think that they're like, girl, can you smile a little bit? Can you just be like, I'm like, I don't know. I just have this wall, but I guess obviously I guess I'm not. And I'm just like, hey, somebody does say hello. I guess maybe the type of business I'm in, you just have to have that personality of somebody talking to you. You're just kind of like, oh, hey. But I guess it's a little bit too open. I think I need to check myself on some of these things, because...
Well, in your business, you're conditioned to make people feel comfortable when they're in a vulnerable state, right?
Right, absolutely.
So that is a behavior that you're practicing, 40 hours a week, right?
Right.
So we get accustomed to certain behaviors and don't even realize it. This is why when women come to me from corporate environments, I have to work to soften them, to change their, like I had a client that was coming from work and going to a date. She said, I went on the date and I couldn't really tell how the date went. I couldn't tell if he was really that into me. I thought he was really cool, but I wasn't sure if I was getting that vibe. And I was like, did you go right from work to the date? And she said, yeah. I said, did you change your clothes? And she's like, no. And I said, oh, okay. I don't know if he's going to call you again, because he has the perception of like, you're in business mode, right? Luckily, he did call again. And I said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to completely switch it up for the second date. You need to show up. And, I don't believe in a lot of these traditional masculinity, femininity rules. But I do believe you have to show up presenting yourself as a romantic partner, whatever that means to you. So I said, you need to put on a dress and some heels and switch it up a little bit. And she said, like, when he showed up at the date, he was a little taken off guard. He was like, oh, you look different, and there was a lot more of the spark came into that date just because of the way that she presented herself. And it's the way they perceive you, but it's also the way that you show up on the date and the way that you're presenting yourself. So when you're conditioning yourself throughout the entire day to make people feel comfortable and open to sharing with you,
right,
it's probably something that you're not even aware that you're doing that other people are picking up on. Now, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong.
No. I get that because you know what? That's something I never, ever thought of because I might, on accident, somebody says hello, I might just touch them to make them comfortable just because that's what I do at work. I might
touch is a big trigger for men.
Yeah, I might just touch their hand or like their arm or do something, not even thinking twice about it because I do see a lot of male clients and I do. So I have to make them feel comfortable. Let them know I'm the boss here. You're comfortable. Like I'm doing I'm doing what I need to do for you. But, you could be comfortable. This is a profession. This is, we're in a professional environment. Be comfortable, but just know I'm still in charge.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So now that you're mentioning that, and I'm like, damn, I'm like thinking about it. Click. How many times have I met somebody and be like, oh, hey, a handshake or
you have to be very careful with touch because when you think about it, okay, women. What do we do when we see our girlfriends? Oh, hey, girl. We give a kiss on the cheek or a hug. We're always touching each other, linking arms with our friends. Physical touch is a big part of the way women interact with each other. Men don't get that. Like they go to the movies with their boy and they sit 2 seats apart from them because they don't. Their knees might accidentally brush one another, and then they might, what would people think of them?
Right.
And so they're really starved for physical intimacy of any kind. So it's a very powerful thing. Just you putting your hand even on somebody's shoulder or hand, that has a lot of power. And so you want to make sure you're using that power in the right way.
Yeah. Okay. Without even knowing, did not occur to me until we were just talking about that. I was like, what is it? You're very open. I was like, oh, your job. Well, yeah, because, I come from work. I'm dealing with women. You're just or men, whatever, doing the services, getting things done. And, it's just an automatic thing. I hug my clients when I say bye, like bye, hi. It's just one of those things. Or meet a new client. I shake their hand, but I also put my hand over to let them know that they're with a professional. Everything's going to be okay to ease them out. So never in a million years would I think like just meeting somebody outside of work, doing something like that would give him that he might be married and be like, okay, she's down when I'm not even down with it. But that's
not
just
even
something
occurred to you.
Right.
That
But it's a great skill to have when you want it to be turned on. And now that you know that,
the
power
aware
that
of
you
it.
have,
Watch
save
out
it
now.
for the right ones.
Yes.
But let's get back to online dating because I don't want to get off topic.
No. Okay.
You're not sneaking out of this one.
No, exactly. So what do you think women should put in a profile, what they shouldn't put in a profile?
Well, here, I'll start with the biggest mistakes. Okay. A lot of times I can read what someone's past relationships were and what challenges they had in them just by reading their profile because it'll say, don't even talk to me. If you are a liar, cheat, you ain't got no job, any of that. And so what we do when we say that, we think we're protecting ourselves from the wrong things, but you're hardening yourself and you're putting yourself out there as already having judgment. And it is a very vulnerable thing, like you were just saying, Inez, like putting your face out there and all the information about who you are and what you're looking for in love. That's a very vulnerable thing. And so to be met with judgment from the get-go is something that is automatically off-putting even to the right guys. So make sure you're saying what you do want as opposed to what you don't.
Okay, since we're doing this, and it seems like I'm doing this, so as a profile, so what would be my best aspects of when I set up my dating profile now, when I set up my dating profile, how would I go about, like, what's a good picture? Like, what would you see all these things, like, I'm not trying to show my, all my goodies, I'm not trying to do all that. What's a good one? Like, is it professional? Is it fun? Is it hanging out with your girlfriends? You see people say, oh, every time I see this guy, he's got pictures with him and his homies, so he must just want to always hang out with his homeboys. Like, what are you, like, what's a good way to just put it out? Like, hey, I'm open to dating. If it leads to something, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. We could totally be friends. Like, in that kind of aspect. Eventually, sure, it is to have, like, have a full-on relationship, get